back to like, you know, the whole situation with Kendo, like I really did enjoy my time there. It's just like I felt bad that I wasn't putting like 110% of myself into it. And I felt like I was like, you know, cheating the coaches in terms of like, you know, I can't put as much effort into the trainings and that sort of thing and becoming a better Kendo player, because I know what I'm capable of. It's
Kendo
just like
player?
Yeah, that's...
Is that what y'all call each other?
Well, Kendo player, Kendokas, practitioner, that sort of thing. But yeah, it's just like I felt like, you know, like why should I be here, take up your time, and like be subpar in terms of being a Kendo player? It just doesn't make sense to me. And I think like if you're going to do a martial art, it's pretty much a lifestyle. Like you take it up and like you apply the teachings from that martial art into real life. And obviously like when I was in Kendo, like I did take, you know, the teachings from there and applied it to my life.
What kind of teachings?
It's it's called Shoshin.
Right now, I'm really interested in this Kendo stuff.
Yeah.
I think we're really going to pack on this.
So our club's motto is Shoshin.
Shoshin.
Which means like a student forever, a forever student, always wanting to learn and that sort of thing.
Oh yes, I love that concept.
Yeah, and basically that's something that I've applied in like, you know, work and friendships and that sort of thing, like constantly learning about like, you know, different ways I can do certain things at work, but also like, you know, the person that like I'm, you know, friendship with, I guess.
How to approach your friendships in life.
Yeah, it was great. And it was, yeah.
And did you feel a disconnect from the main kind of teaching, and that's why you kind of...
I think at the time that I left, yes, I did.
What kind of disconnect to the teaching of
Shoshin?
Shoshin.
I think at that time I wasn't really dedicating myself to learn more. Okay. And I was just kind of doing the same thing.
I get you. It's like diminishing returns. You got to a point, you're there, you're training, you're attending the classes, but you're not getting any better. You're just kind of doing...
My mentality kind of just went...
Yeah, you hit the roof, yeah. But, I mean, not to say that you're not forever a student, because I love that concept. It's such a good thing. Eternal white belt. You know, keep your glass empty. You can always learn. Once you get a black... Like, another thing, a black belt is a white belt who never gave up, you know? Because, literally, like, if you know nothing, you can learn so much more. I just love that as a concept. Actually, unpack that for me, like a bit about Kendo. So what's going on in Kendo? It's just sword fighting, right? Martial arts. I love martial arts. Like right now, as you're talking, you've just touched on a little bunch of fucking... I'm like, we can play. I love martial arts, right?
Yeah.
I watched a video recently about like a martial arts that would not be effective in mixed martial arts. So they name things like sumo and Krav Maga, all that kind of stuff, right? But they didn't mention things like Kendo and things like that.
Yeah.
But obviously I'm going to go, well, then useless for MMA because you can't pick up anything and strike someone with it.
Yeah.
However, is it more than just the sword training?
It's more than that. There's just... Because, like, to describe Kendo in, like, 2 minutes, it's actually really hard because there's so many parts to it.
You've got, like, maybe 10 minutes.
Essentially what it is like it's, I guess in layman's terms, it's like a Japanese version of fencing.
Keep in mind, your thing will be easier to describe than my thing. You got to understand, I know how it feels when like someone tells me, oh, what's that martial arts you do? And you got to sit here and break it down and be like, oh, you've never heard it. Because like everyone back in the time, they was like, oh, you do martial arts? Karate? Taekwondo? They all know the main names. And then you do a thing like Bobby Nam, like, what's that? And you have to explain to them, we wear a full-on blue uniform. Our belt levels are light blue, dark blue, yellow, red, and then white. Yeah? People confuse. Everyone thinks the black belt's the best belt, and I have to tell you my white belt's the best belt. It's different. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So I understand, like, it's a level of, like, when you have to explain, you're like, but trust me, I'm with you. I get it.
Yeah. It's
it's Japanese fencing, and fencing is French. Okay.
Yeah, it's like, it's similar to that. It's like basically like the way of the sword, way of the samurai, because like...
Samurai, so it's based from the samurai.
Yeah, so basically, you know...
Is all samurai Kendo?
No.
Or not necessarily. Okay,
Not
but
necessarily, but like it
it-
derives from.
I get that.
Yeah. So basically, like, you know, Kendo was basically a way for samurais to practice their sword art and that sort of thing. Because back in the day, when it was like, I think, like when they had like, you know, samurais as like their protectors and stuff like that, but eventually they didn't need samurais anymore, and samurais wanted to like preserve the art and like teach other people
To keep the art sharp. Keep the blade sharp. Yeah. So that's is that the purpose of Kendo? Obviously, there's more for me to like do research and look in if I want to, but from a very, you know, one perspective kind of story, one kind of folklore of it would be like, no, not folklore, but like lore of it is that they developed Kendo to train the craft. So would I be incorrect to say that Kendo started during the time where where samurais were not dying out, but like they weren't having any more work to do? That's
pretty much
really it.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
Oh.
Learning the history of Kendo, I went into a rabbit hole when I was like researching it, and I'm just like, oh, so that's how it started. And it's like, so all the uniform that we wear and stuff like that, it's actually based on like samurais and stuff like that, which is so cool.
A kind of stripped down version for the training.
Yeah.
And that's obviously, oh, well, that makes so much. See what I mean? Like, hey, you ask me if I know what Kendo is. I'm like, oh yeah, that's just, I think it's Asian. You know, I suppose then they put up like, okay, probably Japanese because of anime. Watching that, I'm like, okay, Japanese, and they swing a sword, cool, and they hold two hands, and they wear a face shield, and they have this uniform. That's all I know, right? But yeah, obviously, you got to hold two hands all the time?
Pretty much, yeah.
None of this one hand bullshit.
No,
you can't. One Piece.
It's like,
Zoro.
have you actually tried to hold a katana like one hand? It's actually really heavy.
Have you held one in your teeth?
No,
Zoro, 3-hand style, 3-sword style. Ooh, hidden wolf. I started watching One Piece lately. I'm hooked.
Okay.
Yeah, but far.
Yeah.
Oh well, are they heavy?
Well, the bamboo sword isn't, but the katana is.
But I can still hold one in each hand, can't I?
I mean, I wouldn't advise it. Cause like
2-sword style.
I mean, there is like a sword style where like, so you have the shinai and you have a smaller sword and you can have like both like that. I have seen like players like, you know, play Kendo like that, which is actually quite cool. So sometimes
it's part of like a different like, it's kind of like when you're doing martial arts, you have like striking, sparring, and then you have grappling when you're just, then you have Kendo like with like the big sword, or then with the
one small, one big, and it's actually like pretty cool. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. So the more I learned about it, I was just like, this is so cool, and I can see why like certain like fighting choreographers like base like certain fight scenes on like martial arts and stuff like that. I think I was watching this documentary like a few years ago about like how the choreographer for Star Wars actually got a lot of his inspiration from like Kendo, fencing, a lot of like other sword like fighting and stuff like that. It was really cool, and I was just like, wait, so when like a certain character like steps back, I was like, oh, they're doing like a specific stand that we do during like kata, which is basically like
kata. I know what kata is Japanese. We obviously it's forms and patterns.
I mean, I found it really relaxing, very therapeutic.
I started like, to be honest, as I got older, I'm more okay with them. Like it's a maturity thing. But the younger I was, the more issue I had with it.